Welcome to Reffing Down Here. So Bart.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes, and he's going with the game day mug. Understandably so. So Bart.
So what do you guys want to talk about?
Cody Rhodes. There's some things I figured we'll go ahead and bring you in to before we get into Reffing Down Here, before we get into the national team and your mug, because there's plenty to talk about. This Messi dude, your initial thoughts on possibility, probability, depending on who you reference and your sourcing and all that kind of stuff. What's been processing through your brain since about 9/11 this morning?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with the Messi, as we talk about it and just look at how this is going to go down, is to use journalistic integrity in your own mind or in your own life. Check your sources, try to find more than one source. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is that the sources seem legitimate, but there's not a plethora of sources. There seems to be one or two, and this includes everything going on with Messi. This isn't just Inter Miami. This is also Messi to Barca. This is Messi to Saudi Arabia. So I think that would be something that I would just personally just caution everyone for, is like, it sounds fun. It sounds great. And I don't deny that, but just make sure you're checking your sources, make sure you're verifying your sources, making sure you're backing them up by finding multiple sources. That's out of the way.
So you're saying sources, and sources, huh?
Yeah. Be a capital J journalist today as you talk about all of this. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That said, I think that it is something that has obviously been talked about for more than just this, couple days. This has been something that, from an MLS perspective, this has been a potential for years, right? We were talking about this before Messi went to PSG. We were talking about this last year. So the plausibility is there. This would be massive for this. And I agree. I think I forget who tweeted it, so I apologize. It may have been, no, it wasn't Ariel Castillo. She was tweeting about just the vibes that Miami would have if they got Messi. But this would be a bigger soccer moment in this country than literally anything. This would be bigger than just hosting a World Cup. And I do ascribe to that, because I think that Messi is a show all unto himself. Do I think that the idea of Joseph and Messi working together to try to counter press a team is quite laughable? Yeah. No, Rich, this would be bigger than David Beckham. Specifically because David Beckham, while he was an international global superstar, and he was, Leo Messi is beloved by all soccer audiences, and specifically the largest soccer audience in this country. This isn't just a guy who played it in the Prem and played for Real Madrid that that is beloved by English-speaking soccer fans. Because we all know, John, the largest soccer watching audience in this country is our friends who speak Spanish.
Correct.
Our friends from Mexico specifically. That would elevate MLS in their minds. They would start watching it, and that's how you get MLS to actually grow. Because if you get 100,000 Mexican soccer fans, I should say, in Houston per se, interested in coming to a game to watch Messi, to the point where now they have to go to NRG. The likelihood that those Mexican Americans who are in and around Houston stay with Houston Dynamo at that point in time.
Yeah.
It may not be 100,000. It may be 5,000, but that is growth that we haven't seen with MLS in a very long time. And now, obviously, Atlanta United doesn't need that help. Seattle doesn't need that help. Portland doesn't need that help. But teams like Houston, teams like Inter Miami, teams like New England, they need that boost of getting a real draw to the stands, and then hopefully find a way to keep it. Like, run a promotion, wear a Messi jersey, get a free I don't know, Houston Dynamo T-shirt.
Get a free oil. Get a free oil change.
Right? Well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Whatever it takes, right? But I'm just saying, wear a Messi jersey, get a free piece of Houston swag, get a free piece of San Jose swag. There's a club that needs a shot.
Barrett, he's referencing your San Jose Earthquakes.
But
look,
the shot in the arm is Gibbons is great.
It's fine. It's fine. This is a landmark moment in this league. To Jason's point, yeah, like the Beckham thing hit on a number of different levels because of where the league was, what Beckham meant in that moment when he came here. Like it meant a lot. It's an insanely big moment in this league's history. This one's probably going to be bigger. As good as Beckham was very, very good. No one has ever mistaken David Beckham for being the greatest player of all time, which is something that Lionel Messi has an insanely strong claim to.
He's certainly the greatest of his generation, and I definitely don't think Beckham even had that claim.
Yeah.
No.
All he had was most handsome man married to the most gorgeous woman. And those are great claims to have.
Hey, Beckham was clutch too from a set piece. And I don't and it's the thing is like I want to have this conversation of like in a sense of when we talk about, hey, Beckham wasn't Messi. That's not a shot at Beckham. That's because Messi was transcended so many things on or off the field, and on the field is in a conversation of handful of players greatest to ever put their foot on a ball.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't take away from what David Beckham was on the field. And Messi is going to hey, Bart, I already looked, by the way. If you go on Ticketmaster to look for tickets for the Leagues Cup, your favorite competition,
nope.
You can't find tickets for Atlanta, Miami right now. They're showing as sold out. I think they may have pulled them down, or they just haven't released them in the first place, which would just be coincidence at this point. But you cannot find them. And all of the Inter-Miami games going forward, the ticket prices are actively rising.
I looked last night, Jarrett, for the Atlanta-Miami game for just, not the verified resale, the first sale, through the club and Ticketmaster. You have supporter section tickets, and you have, one section of seats in Mercedes-Benz. Granted, they're only doing the first two levels, so that definitely would change.
They're going to have to open it up. That's going to change.
Yeah. Now, you want to hear my Sophie's choice on this?
Uh-oh.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's go. Let's get grim. I love it. I'm already here.
So, Atlanta United hosts Inter Miami on Saturday, September 16th.
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia hosts Pitt
on
Saturday, September 16th. For the first time since
2011. Okay, is it? Okay, are they going to, if they don't kick off at the exact same time, how much do we need to crowdfund you?
We already kick off at 7:30. That has been, or 7, one of those two times. So that's been released from the networks up in Morgantown. So kickoff in Morgantown is 7 or 7:30. Obviously, the Atlanta Inter Miami game at that
that's
point
going to be, Big Fox might pick that up.
Yeah.
Right. So that could end up being especially with the Joseph return type thing, so that could be a 4:00 kick, but yeah. If anyone has a private jet that they want to loan me for that Saturday,
flight aware. Bart Keeler needs flight aware for that.
Yeah, we're going to need a helicopter to hope to God Fox picks it up for a 4:00 kick on Saturday, or pray to God that maybe they flex the game to Sunday.
Ooh.
And then try and run it 4 or 7 Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening.
Yeah.
I know Mr. Blank has a private yacht. Maybe he has a private jet or helicopter.
Oh, I'm sure he's got a private. I know he's got a private.
If that's what it takes, maybe they would move it to Sunday for you, and then because look, Backyard Brawl is on my bucket list personally.
I was at the last one in 2011. I was obviously there last year. We don't need to talk about it. And it just so happens that September 16th, my birthday is 3 days later. So I was actually planning a nice little birthday trip to go from Morgantown to DC, watch Atlanta United in DC on that Wednesday, and then fly home.
Ricky's
we'll
already
see.
Ricky's already blocked out the 17th because it's Falcons Packers.
I mean, flex that game. Who cares? Who gives a shit about the Packers this year? They don't have.
Well,
you know,
Aaron Rodgers isn't even there anymore.
yeah. No one's going to watch Jordan Love.
No.
That's not
Jordan Love
that's
and
not,
Desmond Ridder, the matchup of the ages.
Flex that to Thursday night.
Yeah. All right. So you want to go
Oh
reffing?
my God! But
What?
no, seriously, he's right.
What?
Imagine a world where we flex an NFL game because we got to put Lionel Messi in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
But like that's
on a
the thing
Sunday.
that Fox could legitimately do is say, no, we got to put this, because that could go up against some NFL teams.
Mhm.
Or you do a Falcons United doubleheader. Falcons start at 1, United starts at 4 or 7, whatever.
Well, you got to add the lines and wash the field.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
a lot of
look,
work.
we all know that United is going to outsell the Falcons. We all know this.
Oh yeah,
That is true.
Even with the dirty
outscore.
cheeseheads, the stinky cheeseheads coming down, full of brats and beer and no brains, but they're going to be down there.
It's amazing this whole thing where like we have this disconnect between like Wisconsin fans are pretty much loved by everybody as being this insane group of drunk Vikings that roll into your town and drink it dry, and they're generally pretty fun. Like no one seems to have beef with Madison unless you're like another Big Ten West team.
Yeah.
Whereas the animosity towards Green Bay might as well be night and day. It's one of my favorite weird quirks with American football.
All right, so we can now add Ben Jacobs from CBS Sports to this.
There we go. Okay.
Lionel Messi joining Inter Miami as Guillaume Balaguer first revealed. Deal includes support from Apple and Adidas. Talks from Messi and Inter Miami have been going for almost 2 years. Messi's turned down Al Hilal. Saudi dealmakers were preparing for his arrival, but Messi never said yes, only that terms were acceptable. Messi's decision is understood to be driven by what he feels is best for his family. Also has a property in Miami already, the $9 million condo that we talked about. Messi was keen to stay in Europe, but
He's
Barcelona
going to be a minority shareholder of Apple by the time this is done, as well as MLS probably.
Yeah.
The man's going to be
hey,
able to,
how does
the man's gonna
Audi
have as
does
much-
Audi get involved?
Mhm.
Does Audi give him, the Nick
buddy.
Saban special and give
Great
him
question.
multiple dealerships in South Florida?
Yeah,
That is a great. He can compete with
Leo
Stetson
Messi
Bennett.
Audi.
Yeah. Messi keen to stay in Europe, but Barcelona unable to make the numbers work, as explained with the financial plan, squad cost limit, and all that kind of stuff. Messi wasn't prepared to wait for a formal offer, so we can now add Ben Jacobs to the mix.
I meant to before we get into roughing down here because I know we need to. I need to ask Bart how he feels if my club takes one for the team and hires Jesse Marsh before the U.S. national team can.
Celtic.
I actually think that would be a great landing spot for Jesse. San Jose. I mean, Celtic. I'm sorry.
San Jose would also be an interesting landing spot, but I don't think Lucci is leaving.
No,
I think I actually think Marsh to Celtic would be interesting because look, Jarrett, it would be cataclysmic for Celtic to not win the league again next year.
Oh yeah. I'm very realistic about what they are, both domestically and as a punching bag in European football. It's fine.
Right.
I
think the only problem I would have is I don't know if Ange Postecoglou and Jesse I don't know if Jesse is the guy to follow Postecoglou. But maybe he is. He definitely has a big personality and a big locker room presence that might help.
Jarrett, just so you know, Jarrett, your Geek of Seats, where you are trying to corner the market, still has tickets available, $50 and under for Nashville, Sporting, Toronto, NYC, and FC Cincinnati.
Oh, I'm selling my tickets to the September. I was going to sell my tickets to the September game anyway. Now I'm just ultra selling them.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's what you're staring at.
Well, that's what I'm also looking at is I can sell my tickets to fund my trip to Morgantown for the
There you go. There it is.
See, look, this is going to work out for everybody except for Bart and his love of seeing soccer and football in the same weekend.
Yes.
This is like in 2020, though, where I had the idea of the perfect sports weekend that I never got to execute, where because they moved the Masters to fall, I had this idea of what if you go to the Masters on Friday, hop over to Athens, because the next day UGA was playing Tennessee, which was just basically while watching a 60-minute snuff film. And then on Sunday going to a Falcons game or a United game, whichever it was. It's like it was a perfect sports weekend to be set up with, and just wasn't able to execute it. Mostly because I don't have tickets to Augusta.
Jonathan Tannenwald, I asked on Twitter, I asked someone, the Philadelphia Inquirer, at the goalkeeper. I asked someone well connected in MLS circles when to expect Messi to debut for Inter Miami. August, I was told.
Oh.
So
no Leagues Cup, at least in the opening.
Messi's not playing in Leagues Cup. He's not playing in a made-up tournament. Oh, wait. He did play in La Liga.
Yes. All right. So
Cruz Azul fans are just sitting there with their head in their hands.
Yes. Well, and those prices got jacked up to like $230 at DRV P&K. Bart, choice is yours. Reffing down here or national team talk?
Let's do reffing down here because I know I don't know if he's still on, but Will wanted to chat about a decision from the.
Oh yeah, no, he's talking about Jarrett Stetson's going to have a Chrysler or a Lexus dealership. Too much success for a Kia. All right, so
Kia dealership's perfect for a guy who won 2 national titles and doesn't do anything else, because I'm pretty sure that's the same plot as Ed O'Neill's character in Little Giants.
Yes, it was. All right, so Will had
see you at Bulldog Kia.
Yeah, Will being our Huntsville City FC resident alerter. There was a straight red that happened in the match. And by the way, all matches at Joe Davis this season are apparently all meant to be chaotic. But he wanted your thoughts on a straight red that was given in the match against NYCFC 2 that kind of flipped the script a little bit as they had a 3-0 lead and ended up losing 4-3.
So my first thought is I wish that the referee who gave the red card in this match would referee the big MLS team affiliated with Nashville or with Huntsville, because they deserve a lot of red cards, and I appreciate the cojones to actually give a red card. So the red card was given for a foul during an attacking phase of play. The defender, after getting beat, doesn't even just stick his leg out, kind of kicks the leg of the attacker as he's running past him. Not too high. It's definitely in the shin guard area. And he's given a red card. Now, Will's argument is he only saw this as stopping a promising attack. Yes, it's definitely stopping a promising attack. It's not quite that same level of it goes beyond that, because the foul in question, to me, I see where the referee gave a red card. It was more than cynical. This is what we're looking at is this serious foul play? In the referee's mind, he saw that intentionally kicking an opponent who's running past you is a serious foul play. And again, it wasn't like in the ankle. It wasn't super high. It wasn't like he kicked him in the knee, but he did kick him above like the shin guard, right? Like where that shin guard starts. He kicked him above that. So in the referee's estimation, he saw that as serious foul play. And I do think that it would be hard to argue that with that referee. I personally would not have given a red card for that. It definitely is yellow card for a bad foul. At that point, we're talking about, a reckless foul. But I don't think that stopping a promising attack would have been the yellow card anyway, because that was a reckless foul. The referee thought it was serious foul play.
Second one on the board, and it comes from Open Cup last night. And Jared, I know that you were watching Open Cup as Cincinnati was taking on the Screaming Bob Lilies.
Still mad about it.
By that,
pour one out for the Screaming Bob Lilies. Cincinnati, you don't deserve nice things. You made Skyline chilly.
Pittsburgh Riverhounds losing to FC Cincinnati. The second goal kind of made the first one wash away a little bit, but it also reinforces why you probably need VAR in the Open Cup.
The third goal also drilled it home.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So what happened in the first goal in Open Cup, Bart?
Well, what you see first, the referee play in question here,
all right,
is for me anyway, I'm looking at this and going, okay, how in the world do you think to rugby tackle someone
yes,
from behind like that? Not pull an arm back.
Mm-hmm.
The Pittsburgh defender puts both arms around the Cincinnati player and rolls him to the. I mean, this is like Pete Carroll 101 tackling. This is day one of training camp. Pete Carroll teaching how to tackle technique. I would have given this a red card.
It's a great roll tackle.
This is not just stopping a promising attack. We just talked about the Huntsville situation where not just stopping a promising attack is obviously a bad foul. To me, this is a red card. This is serious foul play. This is something that we never want to see in a soccer game. And to me also, you combine the fact that it is stopping a promising attack with the level of foul play that this is, right? The severity of the foul. I would have given this a red card. I am really shocked that the referee thought that a yellow card was fine. I'm also really shocked that Cincinnati thought that the yellow card was also just fine. Like, we do not want to see this in soccer, period.
Yeah. I mean, literally, it is a drag down tackle from behind, and that it's a horse collar. I mean, that's probably the best way that I can describe it. And it literally looked like a horse collar tackle from behind that was only worthy of a yellow card. So God knows what would be a red card in that situation. But, I thought that was the two plays that you brought up. And the cool thing about this is that now that this segment has kind of grown and morphed in its own, you're now taking suggestions on plays to analyze, to give the reffing perspective on things. And I think that's kind of cool as to how things are evolving.
We saw two very similar plays, right? They're both stopping a promising attack. They're both beyond just a normal, what we used to call a cynical foul, right? Both of these are more than just a bad foul or just a cynical foul. They're intentionally done to stop the player from progressing. And it goes beyond just stopping. It's not just a foul or a pull from behind. It's not just Chicago Fire defending Thiago Almada. It's, at this point, these are both, in my estimation, serious foul play. I think, again, for these Huntsville one, you could have gotten away with just a yellow card. I do not understand how this Pittsburgh player got away with just a yellow card there. I would have. That's a red card, in my opinion.
We can now add others to the Messi discussion, Messi statement. This is from Albi Celeste Talk, which is an amalgamator of various sourcing from Argentina. Messi's statement on his social networks announcing his signing for Inter Miami is imminent. So, getting closer and closer.
Did we go over the Houston Chicago goalkeeper basically tackling the attacker in the box? That one was fun last night too.
Yeah,
where they didn't give a penalty.
Yeah, we have not. It was inside the 18, and basically, I thought that the one you were talking about with your roll, roll tackle, Bart.
No, that Houston Chicago one, that goalkeeper is very lucky as well, because that was a stone cold penalty in my opinion, and I don't know if it's a red card necessarily. I don't know, because it's definitely not dog so, and I don't think it's anything serious foul play necessarily. But
I think he just
cow.
No, I think he's going. I think he's trying to make a play. He just misses.
Yeah, but still,
he misses.
That happens. That's fine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He misses everything but the player.
Yeah, I was going to say, the fact that you missed making the play means you contacted the player. It still means it should be either a penalty or something. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to get into with reffing down here was a quote that Wayne Rooney gave to The Athletic. And it was your response on social media that had me bookmark this. Sit down with The Athletic last week. Wayne Rooney has been critical of refereeing since he was a player in Major League Soccer. And Vanni Sartini decided that he wanted to jump on the pile and try to frog splash refereeing in general. Wayne Rooney was asked whether he thought the quality of play in MLS and the officiating had improved since his league debut in 2018. Quote, I think the quality of play has increased, and I think the officiating has gotten worse. I just think it hasn't gotten any better. Look, you can accept referees making mistakes. That happens. They're human beings and they make mistakes. But some of the decisions we've had this year, which have been very bizarre, and then they haven't been overturned via VAR. Then we've been to the referees committee and they've said it was or it wasn't a foul or whatever. It's all very bizarre. All that you want really is someone who makes a mistake to accept it, but I don't actually realize how they can make mistakes in the first place with VAR. So the question, and obviously Ted Uncle disagreed with, was offered up Rooney's criticisms. He said, I don't agree with that. I think the educational component of what we do has gotten greater. We have better video and audio because of what VAR gives us. We have a multi-view platform where I can watch a game after I've done a game and listen to my communication on the field, what I've said or what I've thought I've said, which is a huge thing, end quote. But Bart, the point that you made about refereeing in and of itself is the fact that you have more teams and more divisions and more matches creates a bit of a drain on officials who are match ready regardless of division. And I wanted you to kind of expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. So this is, again, what we're seeing at the grassroots level. We're seeing this at the regional level, and we're seeing this at the national and professional level, where soccer as a sport has become very, very popular. I'll say from the grassroots level, the popularity has increased. The number of teams have increased. The number of players have increased. What really has increased, and this is what we're kind of seeing with the professional levels, they're kind of mirroring each other, is you're adding a lot of teams to these elite, air quotes, hard air quotes, elite leagues.
Right.
And those require top level refereeing. They require advanced refereeing, and they require experienced referees, because to give the kids the most fair playing field on which they can grow in the game and express what they've learned and practice or implement what they've learned in practice, you need referees who are experienced, well-trained, and understanding of the game. The reality is we do not have a large amount of those people who are referees in this country. So when you're adding, and I think my joke was when you're adding 47 new professional teams, I feel like that's a joke that also feels right, as you see USL 1 and 2 expand, you see NWSL expand, and you see MLS expand. So I think that's what people don't understand. It's not just that MLS has added, since Atlanta even joined from 2017 to now, we've gone from 22 teams to 30, right? We're at 29 now, right? Is that where we're at? Yeah. It's not just adding teams, you've added matches to the calendar, right? Well, referees, especially in the professional level, you're not refereeing multiple games a weekend like, we would do. Like at the grassroots level, I could go referee, matches on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No one's going to bat an eye. You're not doing that at the professional level, especially not from a center standpoint. Maybe a center might become a fourth official or a VAR official, but you're not centering two matches. You're not getting an AR to, run a line for two matches in a weekend. It's just not happening. So at that professional level, you do not have enough good referees to go around. You just don't, because you have, goodness gracious, how many USL championship clubs are there now? 32.
There used to be until the one.
That's right. But you've got 20 plus teams in MLS and USL championship, on top of what are we at? 12 in USL 1, 12 in NWSL.
Mm-hmm.
That is bigger than most leagues anywhere in the world, right? Premier League is 20 and championship is 24. 20? Or are they at 24? Somewhere in there.
Yeah, 20, 24, 26.
Point is, all of our leagues have more teams than all these football developed countries who have been training referees since before time. We're behind in referee education and training because for a number of reasons, one of those being that, we haven't had good referees to train the next generation of good referees. That's my goal every time I go out there, is to try to help these young referees become good referees so they can replace me. Rich, what the hell are we talking about Pro Rel for this morning? We've been having a great discussion about Messi, and now you're bringing up Pro Rel. Anyway, point is,
I used to have a gong for times like this, but I don't know where it is anymore.
The growth of how many physical teams there are is outpacing how many good referees we have, because referee development is behind.
Mm-hmm.
So every time we want to yell at the referees, which, be critical. Criticism is fine. Again, you need to come at it with the idea, with the intent to get everything better, not because you feel like somehow you've been, I don't know, somehow the referee impacted the game. I got news for you. A referee decision is very unlikely to actually impact the call of the game. You getting mad because a throw-in didn't go your way in the 27th minute at midfield is not impacting the game. Shit, most of the time, a penalty kick decision is not going to impact the actual flow of the game, because likely, and this is how this goes, your team is, probably didn't do what they should have done to score the goals that would have negated a penalty kick, looking at you, Atlanta United. But your criticism, and I think Rooney is legitimately criticizing them with the intent of trying to make, he wants the whole referee product to be better, similar to the way he wants the play on the field to be better. I don't think he's criticizing them just to be an English, arrogant dude.
Yeah.
I think that his criticisms were valid. And again, they're made with the intent to try to improve referees as a whole in this country. But again, the problem is we have plenty of Wayne Rooneys who have come over from England to come coach. Most of them aren't actually good coaches. Let's be real honest. Just because you have a British accent doesn't make you a good soccer coach.
What?
To be real honest.
What?
Also doesn't mean you're also automatically a great broadcaster. But I digress.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yes.
Frog sipping coffee.
Yeah, I was going to say, the only thing missing was a transparent mug where there's some tea in there.
Emilio, the problem is you're under the impression that so Emilio's comment will recruit second or third division Euro or Central American League to come to U.S. One, you're again assuming that they have enough referees to do that are at the professional level. Because second and third division,
I'd love for a job sharing though.
Sure, that would be great. But you're also under the impression that they have people to just give to us, especially in Central America. Have you seen CONCACAF refereeing?
And that's why I would love to have, for lack of a better word, an exchange program, because the Central American and South American leagues, right now you're in Copa, but there are some leagues right now in Central and South America that are done. And I'd love to have U.S. refs. I'd love to have them go and sample Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana, so they're not intimidated when they come back and they're in these CONCACAF, whatever the new branding is, league situations where you go to the Monsters cage at Saprissa and everybody's freaking out.
Sure. I think you're valid, especially they don't even have to be the center. They can just be the fourth official, right?
Yeah.
Most of the MLS referees are, and I'm sure USL, are bilingual to some degree, so speaking Spanish in a Copa Libertadores match to be the fourth official where your job is to get yelled at for 90 plus minutes. That might be a great opportunity for them. So I don't think that's a bad idea. My point to to Emilio is you're under the impression that they also have referees to just give us, and that their refereeing at that second or third division in Europe is somehow just canonically better than ours. I've seen USL Championship games, and I don't know if I want that style of refereeing in MLS.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Women's Super League matches that the refereeing tends to match NWSL matches where they believe that murder is fine as long as you get the ball. We're not going to talk about how that has maybe contributed to the vast uptick in injuries in women's soccer, but whatever.
I was about to ask if we wanted to play the correlation game with that, because I don't disagree.
There's definitely not causation. I think there's some correlation. Point is, every country has referee styles that is different because every country plays soccer and is set up a little differently. The soccer we see in the U.S. is the most variable in the world, and I will stand by this. Not just from the competition level. I mean, you look at what the trash team that we couldn't even beat, Miami, how they play soccer versus how the fantastic team in Cincinnati, and I'll even put LAFC up there in terms of how they play soccer and the quality at which they can play that is vastly different. Nope. Yeah, there's a big difference between Sunderland and Manchester City, right?
I'm still waiting for the league to give me a good reason why Louis Figal wasn't given a suspension for basically cold cocking John Gallagher, but that's just me. Just saying.
Yeah. So I agree with what Rooney, though, in that the fact that I think VAR is not being applied well because he admits that, look, center officials are going to make mistakes. We are one guy running after 22 players on the field making all these decisions at one time. VAR needs to get better to help the center official make better decisions, even if they mess up, because I do think back to that Brooks Lennon non-penalty kick call in Miami where somehow, who was it? Old dude.
Jair Marufo?
Jair Marufo, thank you. Is looking at this thinking, oh no, he was like, VAR needs to step in and say, was this a foul or not? And they stepped in and Marufo made his own decision, which is, obviously how VAR works, but how can VAR support him in making a better decision there? Because his decision was blinded by Jair Marufo's arrogance that he did not make a bad call.
Well, and that's another twofold issue with VAR is I think that what you should have are center refs who have the experience but cannot handle the physical rigors of a match and have them be your lead VARs.
I agree. I think Jason's talked about this a lot too, is where I think the VAR can be a great tool for older referees like Ted Uncle is a great example. Jair Marufo is a great example. They are unable to meet that physical demand to referee a full professional match anymore. They just are. It's what happens. Father Time is undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
They can be there. But you can also use that to insert younger referees who are learning to maybe be center officials at that MLS level. Again, USL referees, can we get them? VAR that process does not have to be USL versus MLS. And in fact, maybe getting a USL referee into the VAR room opens their mind up to a very different and probably better level of play without them having to make actual decisions. Because at that point, you're just saying, hey, I think there might have been a foul here, or, yep, we got him for offside. Those are not MLS versus USL things, right? So a VAR with a USL referee, maybe, who's still part of this professional referees consortium, can get training there to learn how to manage and, it's just viewing from a referee's perspective, a higher level match. Maybe that helps him. And we're talking about people who are on that MLS track. Because again, you have to get these referees from somewhere. Most likely place you're getting them from is USL.
Yeah. And I like Tom Russo's idea of possibly experimenting in, cup competitions and things with two centers like they have in the National Hockey League, because the game got faster. And so the NHL was like, we probably need two center refs and two linesmen. So you go from 1 and 2 to 2 and 2, and you have the entire 200 by 85 surface covered. I like that.
You got to have the bodies for that, though.
True. And that's part of it also.
Yeah. Look, we can talk round and round about all the different ways to improve refereeing. I think what Wayne Rooney specifically is talking about is two things. One, how do we get VAR to better support the referees on the field? And conversely, then how do you get the referees on the field to work with VAR to arrive at the best decision? And then the second one is, how do we work, and we've talked about this all the time, how do we work with referees after matches to improve their decision-making and improve consistency of calls across all matches? And that's something that I do think that Pro/MLS needs to do better, because there is a high variance of calls, right? I mean, we just talked about at the beginning of the match. Why was one call in MLS Next Pro a red card for something that was definitely not as egregious as what we saw in the Open Cup last night?
Right.
In my opinion, anyway. I mean, I don't know. A two-armed takedown tackle to me seems
A horse
freaking
collar,
serious foul play.
Absolutely.
So I think that's also where Rooney's getting at is how do we work with them to get consistent calls throughout, not just the match, because you're going to have some inconsistencies in the match because of a lot of, but like, how do we just help them understand, yes, this is the fouls we want called. These are the yellow cards we want given. I will say, I think it's been a little bit better this year. I'm sorry, y'all, in terms of consistency with what I think yellow cards have been given for. But it needs to still get better. And that's something that I think Wayne Rooney is commenting on is the process of it all.
My only concern, and we'll go into national team talk coming up here in just a little bit. My only concern, if you put younger, less experienced officials in that VAR position, is that if you have an older, more experienced, more respected, and I'm just putting those words out there, official downstairs, and you have the younger official upstairs, that younger official may be more gun shy because you don't want to show up an older ref and fear for your position, because if you sit there and you say something, even though you may be right, you may not want to pull the trigger because you don't want to rock the boat.
I mean, it's possible. We have that. I think you could say that we have that problem right now in MLS, where you have older VARs maybe who try to influence a younger official, or we have younger officials who don't truly get to influence an older, referee on the field. Again, I think the goal is to get referees exposed to that level in a fairly low stakes environment, right? Be it a fourth official or a VAR or even assistant VAR. Because at that point, you're just triggering the process, not making decisions, right? You're guiding the center ref through and say, hey, I think I want you to take a second look at this. I think we may have a foul. Take a look at it. At that point, the decision-making process goes to the center referee at the monitor. But there's a lot of VAR decisions that are, hey, yeah, he was offside. Or, yeah, actually that ball was out of play. Or, yeah, we got a goal. It went over the line. And those are black and white decisions, right? So,
Justin Felder on the Twitters discussing the possible Messi effect. Mark Ogden at ESPN FC is basically saying it is still up in the air between Barca and Inter Miami, while there are other reports. He references Guillaume Balaguer by report, not by name. Mark Ogden is saying that there is still discussion with Barca and Inter Miami being the two, and that Al Hilal is they know that they're third, and they know that they're probably on the way out the door. Justin Felder for issues and giggles. Cheapest ticket on Ticketmaster for Atlanta United and Inter Miami in September is $139.
Yep.
Cheapest tickets for the home match before and the one after Miami, $20 and $38.
Yep. I looked at that today, and everything is now on resale, and everything is 100 plus.
Well, and that they're going to go full barn if this does come to pass.
I mean, I think as soon as that happens, it would be stupid to not, go full barn, open up everything.
Yep.
Because you can sell those tickets for $50 a pop, and you're still going to fill it out.
Yeah. They want to wait, D. Graham. They want to wait until it's all officially official before they open it up and go full barn on the whole thing.
So basically, we've got a lever off between Barcelona and Miami who can pour the most levers,
Yes, correct. That is
pull the lever, Kronk. Wrong lever.
Exactly. What's behind door number 3? So door number 3 is Al Hilal. They're over there. So we're trying to figure it out. National team stuff. We haven't had the chance to talk about that. I know that you over at SoccerForUSPod have. Obviously, disappointing where the U20s are concerned, but the U20s had their own little bit of chaos anyway, where a lot of the favorites didn't even make it out of the round of 8.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the U20 World Cups, I think we talked about it on the Soccer for Us pod that we just recorded. A U.S. keeper specifically made this point that, yeah, it's going to be disappointing that we didn't make the semifinal because we have crashed out at the stage time and time again in very similar fashions, mostly to South American teams. I think that speaks to the stages of development that a lot of South American teams are great at producing professional ready soccer players before they hit that 20-year-old mark. I mean, look how many that Atlanta United has signed. I mean, despite what we say about Ezequiel Barco, he certainly wasn't not professional ready. The man was ready to play pro ball. And so it just, it's very clear that a lot of South American countries do a better job of developing them, players maybe quicker than even European countries do. And that's okay. At this age, development is, at any age, development is not linear. Also, it's very valid that the U.S. team, I think this U20 group, this one specifically, is probably not as strong as we've had in the past. I think we have the floor is much higher. The ceiling is not. When you are expecting a guy like Diego Luna, who, no shade to him, but he, there are obvious reasons he's not getting playing time necessarily at Real Salt Lake, but he still doesn't play much for his own professional club. If that's the guy you're relying on, if you're relying on Cade Cowell, who's, kind of a one-trick pony when it comes to what he can do on the soccer field, and you don't really have an actual striker, it happens. Again, the goal for this of each cycle is to find players who can come to the full senior national team and make them better. I don't necessarily think we have anyone in this particular group who achieves that. But I thought this group was very good. And again, I think the ceiling or the floor has been raised. The ceiling just wasn't very high for this team. But they played well as a team. They still played very well in that loss to Uruguay. Unfortunate to, they were tested and their back line wasn't ready,
And you get an OG from Josh Winder. You're down one.
Yeah, that sucked for him, man.
And so that made it 2, and that made it that much more difficult to chase. We've got folks arriving in Los Angeles, and the slow-mo videos are being posted on social media of folks getting out of vans. And you look at the Nations League finals roster, the 23-man roster. 5 years ago, if maybe even 3, if you had a roster that would have had Folarin Balogun, Alex Zendejas, Alan Senora, Johnny, Serginho Dest. It's a fun one to stare at when you sit there and think that, man, for the longest time, and I know that we loop this back into college football, for the longest time, there wasn't no Cruton going on, son.
I know.
And now you got Cruton going on, and you got that Nations League roster on the right-hand side of the column that's got some definite portaling that has happened. And the Cruton has been full bore for the U.S. for this Nations League roster.
Yeah, I think, again, this is something that U.S. soccer has a unique advantage over any other country in the world, is that we have so many people who both live here with dual citizenship, triple citizenship, but we also have a lot of connection outside of the country to people who, be it they have an American father or mother, but they're actually British, similar to that Balogun story, or, as Klinsmann rated the armed forces bases in Germany for people who had kids who played soccer. We have, thank the military industrial complex for, giving us this advantage over other teams in the world. I guess that's one reason to keep funding the military, but that is an advantage that we need to exercise, especially now as we look at, Pepe, Ferreira, Senora, these are people who are South Americans, right? So they have families from South America, but they're U.S. citizens because of birth or whatever it is at this point. Those are great to pull from as well. And so for the U.S., this is something that I think we're just going to have to – people need to accept this is how we're going to get our best pool of players. And that's something that as fans, it's fun to see because those recruiting wars are fun. And I don't think any other country is also prepared to do the recruiting the way we are. Canada thinks they're doing it right now with Aiden Morris, and that's kind of funny. So we'll see.
I know we got games tonight. I'm going to roll through because Rich has a point, and I want to circle back to it since we're on 10-minute warning. Rich's point that he just made, and I think it's an interesting point that I want to get into before we go. Running through the schedule tonight, and it is a various and sundry group. You've got Open Cup at Protective at 8 o'clock. Apparently, the lower bowl at Protective is out of seats, which is very, very cool for Birmingham as a city, as a soccer city. They're hosting the Herons tonight in Open Cup. We're getting the tail.
Did Homeboy write an article about how this is the most important day ever in Birmingham soccer history, or is that only to trash Atlanta United?
No, I think Kaler wrote Kaler Hodges over at the USL show did write an article about Birmingham and Miami.
Okay.
And
I didn't know if it was just we only throw shade at Atlanta because all the southern cities want to be Atlanta, or how that worked over there.
No, Kaler. I mean, it is a big day, and there's another big day. Involving their USLW team and trying to set a record for USLW attendance as well.
Which I love to see. That's fantastic.
And so they're trying to do that. So 8 o'clock, Birmingham and Miami in Open Cup, trying to determine the rest of the semi. We get the tail end of FC Dallas and all caps SC at Toyota. It is Open Cup at 9:30 at Rio Tinto with the RSL and LAG. You've got a friendly at 10 o'clock, Mexico and Guatemala at the Estadio Mazatlan. You've got Can Champ, Vancouver and Montreal. That's at BC Place. LAFC, and we talked about it last couple of days, anticipating an Open Cup-ish lineup tonight with Atlanta United in town. They practiced yesterday at UCLA. So get in your naps early is basically what we're saying, because pregame show should be 10 o'clock, kickoff 10:39. On Apple TV Plus with Mike and Jason. And sync your radios. You can sync your radio through the Odyssey app. You can do the away thing through the Odyssey app. It's about a 30-second lag, so you can pause your Apple TV and lock it in with Mike and Jason. That's how right now you can get around not having visiting teams. Go through the Odyssey app, size it up that way, lock it in, simulcast it there. So that's that's the tail end of the evening with Atlanta United and LAFC. So
we have some slight breaking news that may interest people. It's not like super breaking. Jude Bellingham official to Real Madrid for $103 million transfer fee.
Only $103 million?
Only
103. Mike is saying if the Messi story is true, September weekend with Atlanta United hosting Messi Saturday night, Falcons Packers Sunday, plus UGA is hosting South Carolina. So that's what you're staring at that weekend, plus backyard brawl. So it's just another average working weekend when it comes to September. Rich's point, and so let me bring this into the discussion as one of the last points for today. Rich, so we're going to have discussion about MLS still needs an aging superstar to garner attention, right? This is definitely some MLS 2.0 stuff.
If you have the opportunity to get the best player ever to come to your league, you do it. The reason why I think this is very different is that this is not every team relying on this.
Yeah.
This is not every team needing to go find. I mean, this is not New York City trying to sign Pirlo, Lampard, everyone that is just possibly a decent player who has name recognition. This is the best person, the best player who has played this game that we have seen coming to your league. Of course you do it. This isn't MLS 2.0. If anything, this is MLS 3.0, because you have the platform now to actually take advantage of this. This is not, hopefully, this is not about short-term growth. Which a lot of that MLS 2.0 and 1.5 stuff was, right? The first DPs were about getting fans, but of that player. again, the goal now is how do you convert Messi fans into MLS fans? And I think finally MLS is at a position where they actually have the opportunity to take advantage of this player with Apple TV, with the better playing facilities that they have now, with the better social media recognition, with the better media recognition as a whole. This is an opportunity that we haven't had. On top of the fact that you have Messi coming, possibly what, 3 years before you host a World Cup.
Right.
It's just different. I understand what you're saying about, oh, we need an aging superstar. But that is one on one team who happens to be the best player in the world right now versus every team trying to go find someone just for name recognition. Vastly different.
So we'll keep an eye on that today. If something obviously we'll be drifting in and out with I've got some high school stuff that I got to follow up on. I got some NPSL stuff I got to follow up on. Just don't do it during the conference call with Steve Cook as we get ready for Atlanta United 2, Philadelphia Union 2. Don't do that between 11 and 11:30 Eastern time. That's going to be on the network, by the way, Friday night from Chester, Pennsylvania. The Twos and the Philadelphia Union. So I think it's 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock, a little after kickoff at Chester, Pennsylvania. So, Bart, what else is going on at Soccer for USPOD and with you?
Well, we've got obviously Nations League next week, so we'll have hopefully an episode next week kind of previewing that. Look, we've got the Women's World Cup coming up. That's the most important thing that we're going to be looking at, especially in July. I don't know if you saw, but AO Atlanta will be hosting a massive watch party for that USA-Vietnam game on Friday, July 21st at 9 p.m. I will be there. Party starts at 7. And I've been told that there will actually be some musical entertainment going on at Wild Heaven before that. So if you want to even get there a little early, do that and enjoy the musical stylings of someone. I don't remember who. We'll announce that when I actually have that information. So that's what we'll be doing for AO Atlanta. Also trying to figure out how to host watch parties for 3 a.m. if they're even worth doing. Possibly going to team up with some other organizations in the area, some groups in Atlanta who do support women's soccer and women's sports in general to try to figure out if maybe it's just a joint venture. Yeah, we've got some stuff again next week, Nations League. So we'll have a show coming out kind of previewing that and more so asking the questions of what does this matter considering we have a substitute for the substitute,
Yeah.
It's like the substitute, the long-term sub had to step out. And so the sub across the hall now had to come over and watch the class. So we'll see how these guys perform. And not that it doesn't matter, but what level, what does this actually mean for the long term? What do we take from it?
Yep. Anthony Hudson taking a job in Qatar, and apparently now lower level seats for the supposed arrival of Messi in September now going for $350.
Yeah, and they are fully sold out. So hey, if you're a season ticket holder and you want to cash in,
do it now or wait until the market continues and you have your confirmation. Follow your sources. That's the news of the day. Follow your sources, as we've gotten Bart in trouble for hanging out with us for an entire hour.
I was answering emails during it, so don't worry.
Okay, just checking. All right. So, Bart, you'll be back at it, obviously, once again next week for another round of reffing down here. All the other news, it's fit to print. And then if anything breaks, I know you're going to want to crash since you have golden ticket status anyway. Be well, my friend.
Y'all have a great one.